Oh, I just had a brilliant idea. Not about this video. That this video isn't brilliant. What did I talk about briefly? The metaphysics of money and power. Literally, there is a metaphysics of that. There's a metaphysics of everything, actually. I do love making videos about topics that other people never talk about and don't discuss, specifically also too on YouTube. Before getting to metaphysics of money and power, I'd like to briefly mention what precedes that as a primordial condition from the principle of Pythagoreanism, Platonism, and all forms of monistic monism, both Greek, Indian, and Egyptian, that the primordial condition is agnosis or avidya, i.e. false identification. In other words, one sees oneself as the objective persona non grata that they see in the mirror, i.e. the psychophysical, or in the ancient Pali, namarupa, which is namisata, not myself or not my soul. In all forms of monistic monism and all forms of hardcore metaphysics, there are always two selves. The false self, i.e. the objective self, psychophysical self, and the true self. False identity, or the identification phenomenology of seeing oneself and what is not oneself, i.e. the psychophysical, is a condition that breeds suffering, agnosis, perpetuation, continuance, and rebecoming, obviously necessitatively so. There is a subsidiary set to that, where when one identifies oneself with the power that they have or wish to have, and their possessions, not only the possession of what they think is theirs, which is namisata, not myself, not my soul, i.e. the psychophysical, but the things that we own, our property, our land, our houses, our wives, our children, all that sort of stuff. This is the subsidiary objectivism of false identity. It is a second tier. In other words, it is a greater evil. Something that's misunderstood by the creationists is what is evil also too, and I'm not going to really go very deeply into evil, but evil is always excess. As a quick note, and this is my discovery, not seen it in any other book on metaphysics, certain words were also numbers. When you actually say a number out, you're saying a word. When you say like 666 out in the three Greek letters, to say that is excessius. And in Latin it is excessius. In English that's extremely close too. It's excess. In all forms of monistic metaphysics, excess is evil, evil is excess. The two are really one and the same thing. So it's not a number. What it says is the mark of ignorant, materialistic human beings, or man, is excess. That's what the passage actually says. Not that I'm actually supporting or agreeing with anything in the book of Revelations. That idea is stolen from much, much earlier metaphysics. And all religion, of course, is secularized metaphysics, which is really kind of an intelligent way of saying that religion is stolen metaphysics that's shaped into something new to be, believed in and worshipped. But I don't care what anybody believes in. That's not important. But we're living in such a, I'm sitting here by this expensive computer, I have all these stupid cameras around me, and I do love photography. It's not only a job, it's also a fun hobby. I love doing photography. That doesn't mean I'm a materialist. I'm just trying to pay the bills. And I'm not trying to, do anybody over in the process of doing that. You're not going to take this stuff with you. I've seen so many hardcore materialists that just keep piling it high and piling it deeper. I've even worked for a few people like that. One of the guys I used to work for was almost exactly like Mr. Burns. He even held his hands like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Excellent. Just, his house is like a museum full of fine Chippendale furniture. That's all well and fine. I don't care what the hell the guy owns, but, he's really old. He's not going to take that stuff with him. I know another guy that I've known forever. Tighter than the bark on a tree. He's got no wife, no kids. He refuses to spend a penny on himself. He won't even buy a steak. He grows his own food in the basement like sprouts. He's got an oven that he never uses and a stove that he never uses. He just eats raw, he's going to live to be 100 maybe, probably. Just eats raw, simple stuff, which I know is healthier for you. But I mean, he would like to have a steak. And it's not that he can't afford it, he's just too tight. It's like, well, you got so much money. Spend some money on yourselves. All these people that want power over others and want more and more money, it's okay to better yourself, and it's okay to have a desire to a degree to, want to help your family such that they're not living in dirt poor conditions. I mean, everybody understands that. That's not materialism. That's love for your family and others. So that's, even though that's a type of materialism, of course, and necessitatively so, and that's part of human nature, just as animals gather more stuff to feed their chicks or their cubs or whatever. That's different. It's done for different reasons. But people that literally trying to pile it high and pile it deeper and wreck other people's lives in the process so they could have more and more and more and more and more. And they want power. Not only that, they want power over other people. This is evil by definition. It absolutely is. I wanted to make 2 videos about this, but I really kind of like to blend it into one. I wanted to talk about corporate evil. Corporations are by definition evil for the same reason governments are evil. The reason why, and this is in metaphysics also, the reason why corporations and governments are all evil, every one of them are evil, is that they're not living entities. They're following a sick idealism, which is not an entity either. Corporations nor governments are beings. They don't have a soul, they don't have a mind, they don't have consciousness. It is an entity of ignorance that seeks to gobble up and destroy, wants more and more. It wants more money for itself and more power for itself. I can tell you flat out right now, and of course I've spoken endlessly about the evils of buying anything from, I'm going to say the word, Amazon. Yeah, don't buy anything from that company, please. You could do a favor for me, don't buy from that company. There's a lot of companies that you shouldn't buy from. I work for a large corporation, as a multinational corporation, and this is no joke. They had a meeting, they had a design flaw on one of their printers. I won't say what company it is, but it's an international company. And they had a meeting, and I'll never forget, it was a huge conference room, and I was in there. And they were trying to brainstorm a really cool way to lie to people about the design flaw. And that was an unforgettable meeting. And someone came up with an idea like, that's brilliant! That's a great idea. That's a great way to lie to people. Yeah, that's how we'll cover it up. Corporations don't care about you. The same reason governments don't care about you. Look out for yourself. Look out for your family. Corporations are sick and evil and twisted. They will do anything to shaft you over. They will do anything to fulfill their megalomaniacal ends and their own sick little deranged minds. There is fundamental materialism where people, of course, want to keep a roof over their head and feed their families. But that's okay. And there's another level of materialism, the most fundamental level, where we falsely identify with that psychophysical creature in the mirror, which is not who we are. That is a fundamental agnosis, primordial condition, which has no original sin. There's no such thing as original sin or first cause in monistic monism. Unlike all forms of creationism, which are fundamentally flawed at their core, I don't care if you agree with that or not. I don't care what anybody believes, and I'm only interested in the truth. I don't try to convert anybody to anything. I don't care what anybody believes. But that primordial condition of false identity, is that which is closest to us. But instead of worrying about working on yourself, as the saying goes, people have another self, and it is their objective self. They think this is who they are, which it is not. And then they develop another self, a self of power and wealth, which is based in how much control they have over other people. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, all these other entities, these evil, 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 evil entities. And they're evil. Drug corporations, the people wanting to do this to you and me, so they control you, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. These people need to be shunned. They're evil. They're to be ignored. And they're to be resisted. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anything other than their own wealth and power. The metaphysics of money and power is that power over others is not a bad thing if you have wisdom and you actually help people. You know, it's only like a tool. A tool is not evil. Stupid people in the world, like a stupid person would think like a fork is the cause of obesity, right? Well, my fork didn't make me fat. And a tool is just an inanimate. I love it when stupid people these days want to ban tools. It's like, yeah, we need to ban them. It's like, why? A fool fears a tool. A wise person only fears a fool with a tool. I think you know what tool we're talking about. But money by itself, of course, is not evil. Money is not the root of all evil, as is commonly said. It's desire and the ignorance behind money and what to do with it and why you want it that is evil. So, money doesn't actually even exist anyway. It's an idea. You know, you hold up $100 bill. It's just an idea. It's an idea that you have power to do something. That's all a $100 bill is, or any currency. It says you have X amount of power to do X amount of something with something else. And when you give that power to somebody else, now they have the power and you have the thing that you want. Because there is no distinction between money and power. The ultimate boiled down nature of money and power is that they're both the same thing. You have a bunch of money, you have power. You have the power to move things and to buy things, to control people, hire people, cause things to happen. If you want that to help others, that's wonderful. But nobody does that, really. I mean, there are a couple people that do. I mean, literally maybe a couple. But for the most part, they hoard it and they use it to, make their life awesome and make everybody's life hell. You know, one of the attributes of evil and ignorance is that you want control over others, and you use that money as a sick pleasure to control other people's lives and make people dance to your tune. It's an attribute of evil. And that evil, of course, is inflated ignorance. Primordial ignorance is like a dumb kid that puts his hand on a hot stove, you know. It's just dumb, ignorant. Inflated ignorance is where you've literally are reaching out and you've turned yourself into a Godzilla-shaped sized entity. You're spreading evil and filth across the world to every avenue that you could touch. And these corporations are evil, every one of them, because corporation or a government has a soul and they're not conscious. There are people that are feeding a beast. I bet, and I'm only guessing on this, but I'm 100% certain. Like, if probably 70% of IRS agents, for example, you talk to them, it's like, you work for an evil company that just like wrecking people's lives, right? Yeah, I know, but I say it's a job, and I feed the beast. So there's all these, what's the words I'm looking for? It's from a philosopher. He called them useful idiots. That's what they are. They're useful idiots. They're feeding a beast that oppresses the world, wrecks the world, makes the world a more miserable place. Instead of like enjoying someone's family and gardening and try to make yourself a happy, fruitful life, people are just oppressed and miserable because they're struggling to pay the bills and property taxes and regular taxes and car insurance and house insurance and on and on and on. They can't even live life. They're just struggling like little slaves. And these corporations are evil. Don't trust them. Shun them. Don't give them power. And always, and this is not advice, from my premise, they are always to be resisted. And you don't know me. None of you really, maybe one or two of you have met me. I resist these people at great length. I really do. I push back. Trust me, I do. If you think I'm like really passive, I'm really not. I'm quite adversarial when it comes to these evil entities. I won't give them a nickel. I will not only not feed them, feeding the beast, I resist them, I call them out, and I shun them for what they are. They're trash. I spent a lot of my life loving Nikon equipment, but I've always known Nikon's an evil corporation. They hate their customers, they're extremely arrogant. Just one example. Even the company Nikon. I've given them a lot of money because I love Nikon equipment. I've used it, for my own personal enjoyment, in photography. Also, too, making money with the gear. But Nikon is, a corrupt, evil, giant company. They're really, really smug. They're a horrible little company. They are. I'm not trying to single out Nikon. I'm just using them as one example. So, you should resist these people. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.